Welcome to another episode of Serve and Grow. And today we have an amazing guest, a really good friend of mine, someone I've been trying to get on this show for a long time. So we'll get straight into it. But this is Stella Fubara, and she's been in so many different settings that's going to be of an incredible benefit to us today. So let's get straight into the conversation. Stella, how many years have we known each other? Seems like forever.
I've known you since I was 12. So.
And now you're 27.
And now I'm 27, so give or take 15 years, yes.
15 years. Almost all the time that I've been here in Nigeria. I just wonder, with all the things that you've done Disney, you've been at Wyndham Hotels, Dubai Tourism, but all three known for excellence, but still very different cultures. Before all of that, what were your early experiences that kind of shaped your ideas around hospitality and leadership?
I thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure. I remember when I came back to Nigeria and I met you, I said, if this dude is bold enough to be here, that means there's got to be something, there's got to be a lot of potential here. And it was very heartwarming. I didn't start off in the industry that I'm in today. I started out with Deloitte and Touche as a project finance controller. My major is business and finance and accounting. And I got seconded, as we do as consultants, to Walt Disney World. And I was the project controller for a major $1 billion project at Disney. And it was at that point that I realized I prefer the operational side of any industry, and in particular, the entertainment, hospitality, tourism. I mean, this is not the first time that I've worked for a company in a city that has made tourism and hospitality the economic base of the indigents, thereby showing that hospitality and tourism is the bedrock of economy.
Yes.
You can't grow your economy without those things. So no matter what you want to call it, it is economy.
Yeah. I actually remember the first time I had the opportunity to go to Disney. I went to a conference. They were hosting. And so I got a chance to, go underground, all the things behind the scenes at Disney. And that's when you realize that Disney it's a town. It's a whole ecosystem, their own police, their own everything. And so to be able to have an attraction that sustains a whole town, and millions, billions in taxes and so on, just tells you the power of it. And the same thing, I suppose, at Dubai, where you go from oil and then actually make even more money. So people think oil is the go-to, and then there's even more money that's coming in from tourism and hospitality. So just looking at your whole career then, what is that thing that connects all the things that you've been through?
Hospitality. And I say this with full confidence that it doesn't matter what industry you're in.
Yes.
If you lack hospitality, and we'll get into what that means because people don't even understand it, but you lack hospitality and your business disappears.
Yeah.
And both Walt Disney World and Dubai in particular realized that even while they were developing their strategy plans, to work in Walt Disney World puts you on the map for any company anywhere in the world, because they know that you are coming to them with such amazing hospitality and operational skills that they will have no challenges. And Dubai has done the same thing. It doesn't matter the industry. It could be a bank. It could be a gas station, a filling station. It could be a supermarket. Bad hospitality means bad business. And once the rest of the world, outside of those who already have it, understand that, things will start to change.
Yeah. So, for a long time, Disney was always my kind of almost beacon on the hill in terms of emotionally rich, repeatable experiences. and the way you can draw people in. I remember growing up in Jamaica, and you had kids and their families saving for years for a Disney vacation. I don't think I've seen that for any other thing.
That's
right?
correct.
Maybe for a destination, Miami, New York, or whatever, but just at an attraction, Disney. People would save for years, and it's like a dream come true. So what do you think was the single most important thing that Disney taught you about what it takes to build a world-class experience for guests?
Nothing is more important than the people. People in and people out.
Right.
So if you want to make the people out happy, the people in have to be happy and have to have the tools and the training to make those others happy. Like you said, if you try to book your wedding at Walt Disney World, it's not a church or a chapel. It's just an attraction. But if you try to book your wedding, the waiting list is 3 years long.
Wow.
Because they know that any wedding that takes place on the grounds of Walt Disney World is going to be executed flawlessly. And who does the execution? It's not AI. It's not a robot.
People.
It's people. So they built a whole university. It's called Disney University, where you go through different kinds of training depending on your role. And it doesn't matter if you're a director, a manager, or frontline staff.
Yeah.
We all have to go through it. And when you get done with that university and you hit an attraction where people are coming, you have a certain amount of pride in what you do. Even the janitor in Walt Disney World is doing it with such integrity and a smile on his face that it makes you, the guest, step up your game. You're not going to drop a litter on the floor.
Of course.
Because you're looking at that man who's 30 years old with his dustpan, with a smile on his face, diligently picking up and greeting you while he's doing it.
They're not just diligently, they're joyfully.
Joyfully. It used to... One of the things that I could never figure out about Walt Disney World was, why the heck are you guys so happy? What are you so happy about? Everybody in Disney that works there is happy.
So do you think, this whole thing, they expect all their people to make magic. Is it training? Is it mindset? Or is it systems?
You hire for mindset at Walt Disney World, and I dare to say everyone should do this. You hire for mindset. You can't teach someone mindset.
True.
You can't teach someone attitude and persona. You can teach them skills, how to use a spreadsheet, how to wipe a table, but you can't teach the mindset.
Yes.
So your hiring process is very psychological.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means that you hire people that on paper, they don't look very qualified, but they've got everything else it takes, and you can teach them that paper stuff. So Walt Disney World hires a lot for mindset, appearance, and character. At Walt Disney World, you're not allowed to work there with tattoos all over your body. It's not to say that tattoos are bad, but think about the customers coming. Are there some customers it would offend, scare? What's the overall picture?
Yeah.
So tattoos out. If you worked at Walt Disney World, it might have changed now, but men were not allowed to have facial hair.
Mm-hmm.
If you were from an ethnicity that, having facial hair kept your skin intact, you would have to have a doctor's note as a man in order to have a beard. So you were not allowed to have any piercings, nose, eye, blah, blah, blah. And even if you had it before and it's closing up, they would tell you, when it's closed up, come back and reapply.
Oh, wow.
So
that's serious.
That's serious. So they hire for all the things that you can't teach someone. If you don't come with it, it's very difficult to teach someone how to dress properly, how to groom properly, all that kind of stuff. And then intense training goes into what does the job look like. And at every level, Hospitality 101 is in every class, whether you're vice president, director, manager, you name it. You've got to nail that hospitality section.
So when you landed there from Deloitte, was there a moment when you just thought, that's why they're number one, that's why they do what they do? Was there a moment, or was it just a gradual thing that you realized?
I was in awe from day one.
Okay.
At Walt Disney World, I was in awe from day one. Of course, I worked in the corporate office, but I would go to a park or every day, and every day was new.
Yes.
You mentioned a short while ago about being able to do things with repetition, and it's always the same.
Yeah.
So you've got to make an A+ every time you take the exam.
That's tough.
And the exam is given 5 times a day, and you must get an A+ all 5 times.
That's scary.
Because the examiners at each of those 5 times is a different group of people. So they didn't see your A+ at the 10 a.m. show. They're there for the 1 o'clock show, and they have to give you an A+. Another set is coming at 4, and you've got to get another A+. Another set's coming at 7. It's the same show. But yet if you watch all 5 shows, you're going to feel the same euphoria you did with show 1, because it's A+ delivery each time.
Wow. So
how do you do that in your business?
Well, we're always trying to figure that out. And then what about problems? How does Disney empower staff to solve problems and delight guests? Because, when you're at the front line, you can't, like we say here many times, let me go and get my manager, or there's nothing like that. So how do they do it?
For me, that is the worst phrase ever. Let me get my supervisor. Let me get my manager. Have you not been empowered to make the customer happy?
Often not.
Which is why I go back to the hiring. We hire for mindset. People who can think about the benefit and welfare to the company, and also about the communication. It's not the problem is not that you told a customer no, it's how you did it.
But in cultures like this one, I find that often you have to give people permission to be like that, because culturally, they're often taught in a different way. And so you have to say, no, you have the permission, go ahead, solve the problem. Even if you made a mistake, we'll talk about it later. And that's something that with Disney, I think, really set the bar very high for everybody. It's just how you do that.
But you can only do that if you hired for the right reason. If you didn't hire with someone with the mindset of delivery, you're not going to be able to tell them, go ahead and solve it, and we'll talk about it later. You have no idea, based on their mindset, how they think they're going to solve the problem. But when you hire for the right mindset, hire someone that you would want to have in your home.
Okay, so let's just think about a small business owner, an SME owner, right now watching in Nairobi or Lagos or Cape Town. What would you say to them? Because they're thinking, we're not Disney, we don't have those budgets, we don't have that heritage, we don't have all of that. I have a team of 20 people that I need to train. How do I train them for Disney level service in my small business?
That is the dilemma. But at some point in your strategy plan for your business, if you do your strategy plan properly, you will know what your resource allocations should be and where you should spend the most money.
Yeah.
And I often tell companies, between hospitality and marketing, those should be your heavy budget items, aside from infrastructure and building it. But those should be your heavy items. Because for one, if you spend a boatload of money building something, but you don't have the marketing or the hospitality to operate and facilitate it, you just wasted your capital expenditure. So there are many platforms, LinkedIn being one of them, where you can go and find true bona fide experts who will, for the joy of it, take up a training gig for your company, whether it's a 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, you name it, to give that training that your staff need, and actually even help you hire the right staff. Because sometimes you don't, everybody doesn't have the skill set to hire. I have a gentleman in my company that even if I feel comfortable with someone, I trust him so much that if he says, Ms. Stella, this isn't the right person, I just back off. Because he always seems to see something that I don't see. Every organization needs that kind of person.
So before you even train, make sure you get the hiring right.
You have to get the hiring right. You can't train a monkey to be a dog.
True.
So you've got to get the hiring right.
So if you think about Wyndham, let's just switch to that for a minute and just bring it down, because Disney has hotels, they have parks,
They have everything.
Let's just go down to hotels now and just think about Wyndham. Chain across continents, different cultures. They're in Africa, they're across Asia, of course in North America very heavily. When you were there, what did you learn about maintaining consistent guest experience across different cultures?
So the hotel industry is extremely dynamic. And for most people, if you've never been in it, it would really shock you. Wyndham is Wyndham, at least at the time I worked there, I think they still are. They are the number one hotel group in the world. Number one because they own so many brands at different economic levels.
Yes.
So regardless of the economic status of a country or region, the world at any point in time, they have brands that service a client for every income level. They've got Motel 6s for your, low income. They've got Hampton Inns. They've got it all the way up to your 5-star. So it doesn't matter what your income level is, Wyndham has a hotel for you. Right. But people don't realize that. But this is how they did it on the back end to make sure that income is always coming in.
Yes.
So to your question, how do you maintain hospitality across all those? The franchise unit of Wyndham is the most sophisticated ever. With a team that thousands of people in the team, that when you as a hotel owner or developer, you build your hotel and you decide you want it to be under the Wyndham label. That franchise agreement comes with mandatory sales, marketing, hospitality training on a consistent basis. It's not a one-shot, we've trained you, we're going away. You got to meet those training hours as part of the franchise agreement. So they can, and if you don't, you will start to see that your operations will start to slip. And the next thing you know, Wyndham is going to yank their franchise agreement with you.
So if you're a general manager, in a Wyndham property, what are the systems that help a general manager translate those brand values into everyday guest interactions?
It's hospitality training.
Yeah.
You can learn a lot of theory in the classroom, but there's nothing that replaces what is called OJT, on-the-job training, nothing. You can have mock rooms that are dirty and have housekeepers clean it. There's nothing that replaces a true
Of course.
guest that has just checked out of the room cleaning it up. So you have got to be able to do on-the-job training at any level within your hotel. On paper, they train you when a customer is angry, try and calm them down, they forget that you're a human being too behind the desk. And that customer facing you right now who's threatening you makes all your training disappear. Then what kicks in? That mindset that you had before you joined the hotel. So if you hire a thug and give him all the hospitality training, when he's facing that customer over that counter and that customer is threatening him, he's going to pull out his gun because that's what he knows.
Gonna go, yeah. So it's still back to hiring before you even train and culture. Okay, let's talk about Dubai, because that's, I think, something that most people can relate to. Maybe they've never been to Disney, maybe never stayed in a Wyndham, but a lot of people have been to Dubai, and those who haven't been want to go probably. Dubai is actually known for weaving hospitality into everything, absolutely everything. What were those deliberate steps that they took to weave it into the culture? Well, because it seems hugely deliberate.
The awe and respect that I have for the leadership, not just in Dubai, but in the UAE, can never be explained because of questions such as what you asked me. How did they realize 45, 50, 55 years ago that, yes, we have oil, but it's not sustainable. and that's not what we want to build our economy on. You know what? We're going to choose tourism and hospitality. And I'm sure people at the time, even probably their own citizens at the time, thought these rulers are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But those guys are visionary. Only God could have given them that vision. And they started very strategically. 1975, I believe, was when Emirates Airlines was opened with 4 planes. At the time, Dubai was total desert. There was no Sheikh Zayed road. There was a dust road.
I've seen some of the pictures.
And there were 4 buildings. They built the World Trade Center, and they didn't even have hotels. This is vision.
Yeah.
You're not planning for today, you're planning for tomorrow. And in doing so, the population of Emiratis in the world is very, very small. I'm not sure they're up to 1 million yet, maybe, give or take.
I don't think.
Yes. And so they decided to kill them with kindness, hospitality in everything they do. They developed a complete end-to-end tourism infrastructure. From first, if you want people to come and visit you, you have to have a way for them to get to you and to the airline. They didn't just create an airline. They went out to create one of the best airlines in the world, in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said, okay, we now have the airline. It's fledgling. We want people to come, but there's nowhere for them to stay. We've got to attract fantastic hotel developers. And then the hotels start. Can you guess how many hotels Dubai has right now?
If I had to guess, I would say maybe, I know, 20,000.
Hotels or hotel rooms? 20,000 hotels.
I'm guessing.
I don't think anywhere has 20,000.
No, it's okay. Let me think about this. Actual hotel properties.
Not room keys, because you're in the room key mode.
Probably about 500-600.
So they have about 900.
Right.
Slowly approaching the same number of keys as Vegas, 100-something thousand keys.
Right.
But think about the square footage of this 900 hotels.
Yeah.
Dubai is not as big as Lagos.
No.
And population in Dubai is 3-4 million, and here in Lagos it's like 20-something million, something like that. Okay, so look at the disparity in numbers. So about 900 and some odd hotels. The connection between service standard repeat performance in Dubai is the strength of their government.
Yes.
I worked for many years for Dubai Economy and Tourism as an international operations director. And every aspect of Dubai literally is touched by the Dubai Department of Economy and Tourism. If you are a hotel, of course, you're licensed through that ministry, and they have what you call inspectors. I think there have to be 1,000 or 2,000 inspectors, and their only job every day is to go to every single hotel, restaurants, the malls, anywhere that customers go in. These inspectors are going there, and if you are in violation of any of the standards for which you were licensed, you get fined. If you don't rectify the issue, you get shut down.
Did they do it as mystery shoppers, or do they go in uniforms?
They are not in uniforms. They're casually dressed, but they have a certain persona around them. And so people, if you're in the business, you know them. But it's amazing. You can't expect what you don't inspect.
That's one of my favorite sayings to my managers. I always talk about that. They say, well, this went wrong. I said, well, what were you checking? How often were you checking? And then I repeat that phrase. You could only expect what you inspect. Okay, let's pivot slightly. Just collectively as a nation, Emiratis, what is that mindset that they have that you think people in other regions can develop if they're aspiring to be a real visitor destination?
They have true pride in their country, in their heritage, in their leaders. Dubai is the only place I have been, and sometimes I refer to Dubai as a country because that seems to be the way it operates, but it's a city. Um, the ruler of Dubai, probably one of the richest men in the world, he can walk in anywhere at any time to you will not hear sirens, you will not see a blockade, the road isn't blocked. Dude is walking on the crosswalk across from the parking lot to Dubai Mall. And the only way you will know is if you know who he is. Otherwise, if you're a tourist, you're not going to know that that's the ruler of Dubai that just walked past you.
Wow.
His people love him so much that he's in no danger. He goes to normal restaurants. He'll have 5 or 6 of his inner circle with him, but you won't know. There's no advanced team going there to block off and shut down everything because the ruler of Dubai is coming. It doesn't work that way. He is loved by his people, and they love what he's doing, and they're proud of it. And so in 2015 or 16, one of the strongest ministries that was created was the Ministry of Happiness.
Okay.
It has a minister. Every
He's a
quarter,
happy guy, right?
woman.
Oh, he's a happy lady. Okay.
And that's another myth. People think women are oppressed in the Islamic region. Not in the UAE. Women are powerful. But anyway, the Ministry of Happiness, working alongside Dubai Economy and Tourism, really maintains that true spirit of hospitality across every industry. And they inspect what they expect, because every quarter, even I, as a resident in Dubai, I get a survey, and I am to rank my experience with all the ministries and in different industries. So let's just say there are 20 ministries. If you are a ministry and you come in the bottom 10, there's going to be a total shakeup in the entire ministry based on customer happiness.
Wow. Customer happiness.
And customer happiness is another word for hospitality.
I'm going to ask you to pick one thing. So give me an example of a Dubai policy or practice or even a project that when you first got there, you thought, wow, something that really showed you how serious they are about hospitality. How, they took it so far, you were like, how is this even possible?
Gosh, it's probably everything, because there's nothing that I encountered in Dubai that I had encountered in other countries, in the hotel industry or airlines. I think it is the independence of the employees.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, they seem to have gotten it right, even better than Disney. And they did something for the business people in Dubai that totally frees up the business people in Dubai from destination marketing. Dubai government does all the destination marketing, and you know how much marketing can cost. It does all of that, and it benefits every single industry. So instead of you as a small business owner trying to market your product to get people to come to Dubai, you don't have to worry about that. The government is doing that for you. And you can get involved if you choose to. Like some people will do a huge campaign, come visit Dubai, and we've got hotels lining up to say, we'll give you free rooms for anybody that you bring in on this campaign because we like what you're doing.
Everyone's going to benefit, of course.
So I think it is taking on, the government taking on ownership of the destination. I'd never seen that anywhere.
So based on what you're saying, let's just talk about this alignment. It's clearly the success of Dubai is based on alignment of airlines, airports, malls, hotels, attractions, and all of that. How do they achieve that level of cooperation? Because people might think it's all coercion because it's the government, but how do they get that willing cooperation from everybody?
It doesn't always go very smoothly. but it is communication.
Yes.
The ability for Dubai government, again, when I worked with economy and tourism, to show to all these possible stakeholders that if we collaborate on producing a bottle of apple juice that is going to benefit everyone, and oh, by the way, the government is bearing most of the cost anyway, it's going to help you out. They don't always say yes. Um, um, but somehow we make them part of the decision. And so they feel some ownership in it. And so most projects most likely always move smoothly and move fast.
So just pretend for a minute you're an advisor to an African destination, Lagos, Kigali, Accra. What could they borrow from device playback, so their playbook, to improve their visitor experience?
It would be a government initiative. Like I've said, the Dubai Department of Economy and Tourism owns the space for the benefit of the businessmen, not for them.
Right.
And they found other ways to create revenue for the government through their activities. But as long as a country, city, state continues to see tourism as people getting on a plane and going on vacation, they're never going to be able to capitalize on that huge economic base.
Yes.
To bring people in. Africans think tourism is, like I said, you go on a safari or you get on a plane to go. That's not it. Tourism is economy. It's part of it.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's mainly economy. And if you do it right, you will enable the business owners in your city, state, country to make so much money that it relieves the pressure they have on the government for handouts.
Mhm.
And then it's a big cycle. The governments, I'm sorry, in most of the African countries, the Ministry of Tourism and Culture is the weakest ministry in the link.
And usually the least funded, certainly in our part of the world.
Well, and it shouldn't be, a country shouldn't have a Ministry of Culture and Tourism that controls the states, because tourism and economics is different for each state.
Of course.
So each state should have autonomy and strength. But then the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, their job really is to do everything in the marketing world to attract people here and facilitate businesses here. Every state needs to operate a very strong Ministry of Tourism, not led by a federal government, because they don't know what goes on in let's just say in America. In America, this is a fantastic example. And the same goes for the UAE. Every state owns their tourism.
With Florida.
Exactly.
York, et cetera, of course.
Because Florida is different from Washington. And Washington is different from Chicago. And Chicago is different from North Carolina. So you can't have someone in the White House dictating policy for Chicago and Florida and Georgia. It's not going to work. So each state is autonomous. And what the federal government does is enable each state to do what they need to do. But they don't control policy or things that take place from a tourism perspective in each of the states.
Okay. So if we think about an African hospitality manager or operator, what is that shift in mindset that they need to have in order to compete globally?
You are the servant.
Ooh, that's tough for a lot of people to swallow. I mean, I know you're right, but
what's the name of your show?
The Serve and Grow.
Serve and Grow. You can't grow if you're not serving.
And that's why we have this podcast, because, operating in this context, and you've, done so for years.
I like that I just segued into that, because you got it. You nailed it.
And it's true. Owners tend to act like owners, and operators tend to.
If you're an owner, you are a servant. If you are a leader, you are a servant. And in Dubai, nothing is more. My bosses in Dubai, I call them my bosses because I'm talking to you. I could never call them my boss to their face. It was first name basis.
No bowing, scraping.
No bowing, scraping. They didn't want any of that. And when I send a message, to any of my leaders, and this was true for Walt Disney World, Wyndham, and Dubai.
Yes.
I get a response in 5 minutes. It doesn't matter how high up the chain they are. It doesn't. Sometimes it could be 10 p.m. They know that if I'm sending them a message, it's urgent, and they give me leadership as I need it. By the time I come to you, I have a problem that needs to be solved. I'm actually presenting you options. All I need for you is to pick one. Because you have a bigger picture than I do.
Yes.
And that's another thing here. Don't ever go to your leader, your owner, and say, electricity isn't working. I hired you to take care of stuff like that. Electricity isn't working. Boss, here are your 3 options. Hire a generator, get a repairman, blah, blah, blah. And these are the implications of each one. By the time he gives you that enables you to be a leader and make a decision. I always tell my staff, don't ever come to me with a problem if you do not have solutions for me to pick from. And they need to be well thought out as well, so that I have to choose the best of the worst in my decision, but I need you to create that picture.
Okay, let's just get a little bit general for a minute. Could you think about 3 principles maybe that we could give to an SME owner that would transform what they do in terms of customer experience, but do so at low cost? Because again, we're talking to people who have different kinds of budgets, but what would be 3 service principles that you could say, do this, do this, do this? It doesn't have to cost you a lot of money, but it will transform what you do.
Take advantage of the intern community. Internship. America's done it for years.
Yeah.
Dubai started doing it a few years ago. There are a lot of young, bright minds out there in the universities. Internship can be paid, it can be free. But you're getting people that haven't been tainted yet by society.
Yes.
And they're like a blank slate. And you can start to mold them, and they can bring you fresh ideas. And it's low cost or zero cost. Even you don't understand the implications of taking on an intern from a financial perspective. There are amazing tax ramifications. You don't have to do pension. Because they're not staff.
Yeah, well, we do that here. We always have interns, and then from those interns, ones that do really well, they transition into full employee. But by then you've had a chance to look at them, see how they operate. And in fact, some of our winners of Employee of the Month here in different departments at Ebony Life Place have actually been interns. So yeah, I subscribe. That's interns, number 1.
Interns is number 1.
Right.
Number 2, don't shirk on the training. And again, it doesn't mean you're sending them to Harvard to go get some certification. There are tons of certifications online that are free.
Yes.
Now, you as a leader, take a look at some of these certifications and see the ones that benefit your company, and give your people on-the-job time to do those certifications. Don't give it to them and think that they'll go home and complete it, because now you're making them work at work and work from home. Give them time. And actually turn it into a communication session where you've got 5 people who all did the certification. Let's get together and talk about it and see how we can take what you just got certified in to the next level. You have to be in it with them, because if they know more than you, you won't understand why they're making the recommendations that they're making.
I think I'll go a step further with that. What I also like for people who don't have a big budget, if you send one person on training, they can come back and train the rest of their team. And so that's a low-cost way of doing it as well, where you can't send 5 people or 10 people, but you can send 1 or 2 people. And the mandate is, if you go on the course, you have to come back and train everybody else. Okay, and your third one?
The third one is probably as much as it costs no money, but not all owners are equipped to do this. If you don't have a strategy, you don't have a business. And executionable strategy. If you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get your staff to go in any direction? We're all the blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost you money. Everybody in Africa wants to be an entrepreneur because they think it's the quickest way to make making money. Yeah. It's also the quickest way to lose money. All the billionaires in the world will tell you they started 30 companies. They all failed except for one.
And it's the one that you see you think was a really easy kind of walk in the park.
So for the small business owner, you've got to have a strategy. You've got to take that dream, that vision, and put it in a strategy, or you're not leading anybody anywhere and your business will fail. And you've got to focus on training. And for staff, if you feel you can't hire contract staff or permanent staff right off the grid, go to interns. Every third year and fourth year student has got to do internships. They are begging to find places for internships. I get approached all the time. The class of the 300 level students. There are 200 of them in one city. They all need internship.
Of course.
Somebody help you guys help them out.
You talked about business failure. A lot of the time, business failure, people don't realize it's because you've lost the trust of the customers. What is the biggest way that people lose trust? And what's the one thing they could do to fix it?
So I always tell my staff that how I like to be treated by a company is, if you tell me that you're going to deliver at 10 o'clock, it's because you know you're going to deliver at 8.
Mm-hmm.
And if you tell me 10 o'clock, by 9 o'clock, if it's not happening and you let me know, I won't be so angry. Businesses fail a lot because of how you treat your client and how you treat your customers. And it's the little things. It's just the honesty. We know life happens.
Things go wrong all the time.
Airlines, for Christ's sake, don't let me get to the airport and wait 3 hours for my flight. You knew when you woke up in the morning that flight was going to be late. Tell me. I'll be okay, because now I know, oh, good, I'm not going to go wait at the airport for 3 hours. I can get things done and head there.
Yeah.
It's just the little thing. The lack of communication is unbelievable. And then the obvious line, unfortunately, if I'm in your industry and you tell me there's an operational issue, I'm going to know whether you're lying or not. Just tell me the truth. And sometimes I tell people, I went to buy furniture. I walked into a furniture store. The guy's furniture was priced 10 times as much as the store next to him. And he's telling me it's because of the quality of the furniture and how he gets it from Turkey. And I looked at him and I said, dude, I live in Dubai. I know where furniture comes from. I know how much it costs. And you see that Turkey? Have you heard of Sharjah, Turkey, furniture?
Mm.
So cut the BS. I know how much this furniture costs. So talk to me like I'm an informed citizen. Don't give me your sales pitch. I like to save people a lot of time when I walk in. I'm like, I want to tell you who I am and what I do, not because I want you to grovel, but it will inform it will inform your decision in what you tell me. And sometimes I get a huge laugh from them, and then they're like, okay, ma'am, we're very sorry. The crew didn't show up today, so we're trying to find crew. I said, yeah, just tell me the truth.
Now, you've worked in all these different environments where success is, and excellence is kind of non-negotiable. What can an SME owner do, or an operator do, to build that in to their operations without big budgets? Is it a money thing?
No, it's a mindset. How are you going to have the owner of a company who's even excellent in himself teach his company excellence? People think grooming is an egotistic operation for yourself. It tells a lot about you. When a woman is back then, I don't know about now, but when a woman is looking at a guy, do you know what she looks at first?
Shoes.
Shoes. You got
My shoes are shiny.
Your shoes are always on point. We look at your shoes. It tells us a lot about how you take care of yourself. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, how are you going to take care of me? The same thing goes for your business. If you're not taking care of yourself, how are you going to take care of your business? So you walk into your business. You're the owner of a hotel. and you walk into business as a man and your fingernails are as long as mine. I walk into a hotel, the housekeeping gentleman, his thumbnails are longer than this. You're not cleaning my room.
Wow.
I did this. This was recent. And I told the guy, I didn't tell him who I was. I just gave him a few tips on hospitality. The next day he comes back. I realize it's the same person. Dude has all his fingernails cut and buffed. That told me he's teachable. But it all starts from the owner. Your company projects exactly how you look. If you are not groomed to the T, your nails, your shoes, the way you dress, I'm not telling you to be expensive. It's not about how much you spend.
I get.
Cleanliness is free.
And I think also, I think for me, the look, but then how you communicate. Because if you don't speak kindly to people, but you speak very roughly to your staff, but you want them to be gentle with your guests. A very strange phenomenon. So let me leave
And
that there.
it's not unique to Africa. I've seen bullies as leaders in every
Of
country.
course.
Actually, I actually didn't see it in Dubai. I won't lie to you. The At least where I worked, the bosses were the kindest. Your colleagues are the brutes.
Yes.
It's the bosses that were kind, and so they kept the tone.
Nice.
The boss keeps the tone. If he's an unkind person, the staff will learn to be unkind.
Wow. Okay, so Stella, thinking about what Dubai and Disney do using storytelling to very powerfully. How can an African business use narrative to really elevate their brand and the guest experience?
I think that the narrative is probably the strongest tool that Dubai used, but very important, it wasn't them doing the narration. It was third party customers, and through true experience. African countries, African businesses, small businesses, large businesses, nothing goes as far as third-party validation and third-party experience, good or bad. Could hurt you, could make you.
And we were talking earlier about there's nothing worse than your fame coming from yourself when you
That
tell
is
the
the
story
most-
about yourself.
It is the worst kind of narration ever. If you have in fact, I was in church at a sermon where a governor was speaking and he was telling the men, if you have to constantly remind your wife that you're the head of the house, you've lost it already. So you don't have to talk about yourself. It is your actions and your behavior that will tell your story. Storytelling, narrations, films, content, you name it, is the quickest way to reach the largest audience. We've got technology. If you focus on storytelling, you are pushing it out not just within your circle, but you're pushing it out to a entire target audience and community, and they can come from wherever to experience your product. From that perspective, Dubai spends a whole lot of money, but we tell stories based on what we want the customer to experience, and we let the story be true. When I was with the Dubai Department of Economy and Tourism, every year, probably twice a year, we had to come up with a major story that would be told live pretty much, by people who had a lot of following,
Right.
because people would tend to believe them more. And it's live because it's being we're curating it for the future, but their platforms are capturing it live and
course.
pushing it out. And they're actually the one telling the story of what they've experienced. It goes much better than a press release
Of course.
in a newspaper. And every industry can do it. I don't care if you sell petrol, gasoline. I mean, I don't care if you sell bread. Have someone else eat your bread and tell your story and allow you to amplify it, to pay for it to be on the YouTubes and the Spotify's and the rest of it. Um, it is the true voice of marketing, if you will, now.
Yeah, actually, I remember a viral moment we had for our cinema, and it was a guest who went online and said, "Oh my God, I just discovered what was it, chocolate popcorn at every night cinema is to die for."
Wait, hold on. There is such a thing as chocolate popcorn?
Yeah, well, I'll take you downstairs later. But what happened was she just, that was her story. It was amazing. And everybody in the comments jumped in and said, no. Have you tried their asum pie? Have you tried this? Have you tried that? So so it went viral. And the thing was the story, because the point you're making, the story has to also be true. Can't be a made up narrative, right?
And press releases are often not true because it's the owner who is creating that press release and putting it out there. So in African ecosystems where the government is always putting out press releases and the government is telling the story, it doesn't go anywhere with anybody because we all know there's hardly any truth to it. But you get, even if you are so confident in your product, all you are doing is you're paying for an influencer who has a lot of followers. I'll pay for your hotel. I'll pay for your flight. I want you to come and experience the product.
And then you tell the story.
You got to be, that means your product has to be true because they're going to say whatever they truly experience.
Yes.
And that's where you get the credibility. That's how come Dubai. Remember, Dubai is Islamic in the Middle East, where everyone thinks bombs are flying. Get those other breasts and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Get those other Western influencers to come and experience and tell the story. That's how we do it.
Let's move to the future. So if we look at service businesses, what do you think are the greatest untapped opportunities for African-based service businesses, let's say for the next 5 to 10 years? And you're not allowed to say AI.
I was going to make it even easier. Can you guys just have true products? If you say you have a hotel, did you put any thought into the consumer journey before you built that hotel? So when I walk into your hotel, am I confused? Focus on product excellence. You're going to build a thing anyway. Why don't you just build it right? I think that you said I can't say AI. Dang it.
You got
You can have the best AI in the world. If you can't execute what the AI is telling you, because the AI is not going to come and pour the glass, the water into the glass. Somebody still has to do that. So if you can't execute whatever it is, so I would say your execution, your product excellence.
right.
And if you're the owner and you are the GM, I'm sorry, this is going to sound like a cliche, but you've got to learn to serve and grow. You, as a leader, learn to serve.
So talking about leaders, what excites you most about that next generation of African hospitality leaders?
Absolutely nothing.
Oh, yes. Really? But there's what excites you about the potential for
The potential.
Yes.
Yeah. I would say, and this is a clarion call to people such as yourselves that manage establishments all over the place, and you've been doing this for years. You got to put a little bit more attention on these potential next leaders. If we're not passing on what we know, our true life experiences, they're going to make mistakes that they could have avoided. I'll be the first one to admit I hate that word mentorship. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not mentoring anybody. But it's only because they're coming to you more from the perspective as you're going to help me get a job.
Right.
And not because they actually want to learn something. And that's really irritating for me. For them, the end goal is I'm going to get a job. And if that's your end goal, I am not your mentor. And so
So better to be an intern then?
exactly. I love interns. I love interns.
That's what I mean to serve.
Yes.
Yeah.
An intern, I'm the one serving and they're learning. But I love interns. This upcoming generation, they're also a little bit, in some ways they're very optimistic, but in some ways they're very despondent as well.
So if we just turn that around, because okay, so you're saying it's you're a little bit worried about this next
I
generation
am.
coming up. But if you were, so I'm going to use the word, but if you were mentoring, genuinely mentoring a young manager or a young general manager in Lagos or Accra or somewhere on the continent, what are the 3 habits that you would insist that they develop to turn this whole thing around?
The only habits they're going to develop are what they learn from you, the mentor. I always tell my interns and my staff, I will never ask you to do anything I can't do for myself. I can do it. So I can clean this table to hospitality standards. So I'm asking you to do it, knowing that I can do it myself. So you better do a damn good job and take it as seriously as I do. The second thing is I try to hire people that have something that I don't, because I don't need another person to pour water into a glass. I need someone who's going to pour it better than I can. I want people who bring something to the table that I lack. That's how you have strength in your team. And so I always tell my staff, I want you to be better than me, because until you can do what I do and be better at it than I am, you haven't grown. So
Yeah, and I think for everyone out there who runs a business, I think it's important that you're always looking to hire people who are better than you. Not at everything you do, but everyone on your team should be better than you at something. That I think that's really critical. So if you look across your entire career, everything that you've done, what's one lesson about people, about service, about humanity that you wish everybody understood?
kindness goes a long way. Kindness goes a long way. Um, and by kindness, I mean, you'll get angry as a leader, but how quickly do you get over it? Is it 2 minutes? Is it 2 days? Is it 2 weeks? Kindness goes a long way and can open up the potential and the innovation that any of your staff have. All they need is kindness from you. Dubai Tourism, as established as I already was, I had 2 bosses. Their kindness knew no bounds, and it just opened up so much creativity in me and allowed me to do things and execute things with joy. So it's kindness. I mean, kindness makes you a better leader. Kindness makes you a better servant. Kindness makes you treat your clients better. Makes you treat, even as a customer, makes you treat the person who's taking care of you better.
Yeah.
Just because you're paying them to shine your shoes doesn't mean you kick them in the face.
Of course.
So I think kindness goes, and we lack kindness all over this world in every aspect. Kindness will make an airline employee tell you the truth about whether your flight is delayed or not.
Yeah, I try my best for kindness to be at the core of everything I do. And I think even, yes, with dealing with guests and so on, but even more so, I think with the people who work with me, treating people kindly allows them to think about treating other people kindly. So yeah, I think I'd agree with you. Okay, you've actually referenced Serve and Grow a number of times on this podcast.
I didn't know I was going to, but it just flows.
But we have a tradition on the show, and it's that final thought. And it's just, what does Serve and Grow mean to you personally?
Oh my gosh. As I sit here and think about that phrase, it's the only way to get to the top. It's the only way to be successful. It's the only way to expand. If you're not serving, and again, we're not talking literally, but if you're not serving, you're not learning. And if you're not learning, you're not growing. If you don't learn something new every day, you cannot grow. And the only way to learn is through service. I'm a Christian, and what was Jesus? The biggest servant there ever was.
Absolutely.
The biggest servant there ever
washing
was.
people's feet, serving them food.
And when you serve people, you gain their loyalty,
Yeah.
you gain their appreciation, and you learn something. I didn't know the title of this podcast till I got here, but whatever thought you put into selecting it is brilliant and applies to every single industry. It applies to every student, every manager, every leader who wants to be remembered and wants to grow and not be stagnant. Serve and Grow is really good.
Thank you so much for that. I thought it was going to be a good conversation, but it was a little bit better than that. So we took a little while to get here, but thank you so much for being on the show, Stella.
It was a joy. It was a joy.
We're going to do a bunch of episodes, and then we're probably going to have you back.
It was a joy. Not until you go to you know where. I'm waiting for you.
Okay.
In fact, if you want to shoot the next one, you come there.
That's an idea. We might start taking it on location. You never know. You never know.
And ours is the first.
Okay. We'll think about it.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Stella. I really appreciate it.
I loved it. Thank you.
Thank you.